Well, what a day this has been in the world of New York sports. What a week. So much is going on. Baseball, football, primarily. That's where we're going to be spending all our time on. And we're going to get today, folks, after a very difficult week one. I don't know about you. Have you finished licking your wounds? Because I don't know. I'm still feeling a little bit sore after Monday night. But we as Jet fans, one thing's true about us. We are a tough, resilient bunch. That's what we're going to do. We're going to start to turn the page. We'll do a little summary of the San Francisco ass whipping, but we're going to turn our page and set our eyes on Music City, USA, on Nashville. We're also going to talk about the AFC East, what's going on with our three division rivals, the latest Jets news. I got some very interesting things to talk about in 3 and Out. Trivia coming up in a little bit later, but you know the deal. It's Wednesday night, and we are live. Well, welcome everybody to New York Sports, WickerMedia. I'm Watu-K99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to join me here on Wednesday night. Hopefully by now, some of the folks actually realize we're on at 6 p.m. I still feel like some of us are getting used to the new start time. But yeah, we've been here for about 9 weeks now. Been here for a little while. So I'm enjoying it. It's nice to see a little sunlight over there to the left as the sun sets down here in Raleigh, North Carolina. We're going to start off by saying a couple of hellos, and there's somebody in the chat right now. I've been waiting for one particular person to return to the chat, and I see him here, and in a moment, he's going to know why. All right? So first of all, I want to say hello to the great Hank G, saying hi to everybody, but this is the person that I've been waiting for. That's right, Tony Alexio, I've been waiting for you to come back. And you know why I've been waiting for you to come back? Well, a week and a half ago, I was in the second city, the city of broad shoulders, the Windy City, my old home area of Chicago, Illinois. And on a Sunday afternoon, I found myself in the West Loop, in an area in a brewery called the Guinness Open Gate Brewery, where they make all kinds of different Guinness beers. Great menu. It ain't cheap, but they had some pretty fantastic brews over there. Packed place, very trendy place to be. So I'm sitting around, I'm just sitting at the bar talking with a couple of people, and the guy on my left, I saw him and I could not help but think of Tony Alexio. And if you would like to know why, well, I'm going to show you exactly why. It was really because of the jersey that he was wearing. Tony, this is your guy. For a second, I thought I almost asked this guy, are you Tony Alexio? He said he wasn't, but here's the guy that I met. Never in my life did I think I would meet anybody wearing a Chris Streveler jersey, and that is his college jersey. I asked him this whole story behind it. He said, "Yeah, I went to his college. He was he was our guy on campus, and he signed it. If you look at the one, Chris Streveler actually signed the jersey." Oh, my God. So I promised myself as soon as Tony was back in the chat, I would bust out this picture. And so there you go, Tony. I hope you appreciate it, but I thought of you. I had to take this picture. So that's basically what that was all about. So before I had to get into anything, I had to make sure that Tony saw that. All right. Guys, there's a lot going on in the world of sports. We're going to talk baseball first. So let's talk about what's on my mind in a little bit of what we like to call 3 and Out. So the New York Mets, oh my God, this game just went final. The New York Mets defeat the Toronto Blue Jays 6-2. What a game. If you don't know what happened, the Mets were getting no-hit by the immortal Bowden Francis. 8 no-hit innings. And I'll tell you what, with the Mets, a whole lot of times it's been they get no hit for about 5-6 innings, and then they start to beat up on the bullpen. Well, this just kept going and going and going. You know, Sean Manaea did what he could, threw a season-high 109 pitches. But the Mets couldn't touch Francis with his 91-mile-an-hour fastball. Top of the ninth inning, 2 strikes. Francisco Lindor comes through with a game-tying home run to right field. And then right away, in comes Chad Green. Maybe right now the biggest stiff closer in all of baseball. The Mets score 5 more times, fueled by a Francisco Alvarez 3-run homer. And guys, here's the coolest stat of all. On 9/11, today, of course, is 9/11, the anniversary of the greatest, the most tragic day, I should say, in our country's history. I say the greatest tragedy, but that just sounds wrong. On 9/11, in the 9th inning, 11 batters came up to the plate for the Mets. That is pretty cool, isn't it? That is pretty. That's pretty amazing, eerie, interesting. You know, you can use whatever word you choose, but 11 batters came up. But the Mets have not lost a series now in 4 weeks. They're now a half game up on Atlanta, who, by the way, is dealing with another injury. Reynaldo Lopez, who is the pitcher has the best ERA on their staff, is now on the 15-day DL with or injured list with a shoulder impingement. So now the Mets are out or off. Yeah, they're not playing until Friday night. They head to Philadelphia. First game will be Jose Quintana against Aaron Nola. All right, now on to the New York Yankees. Seth Lugo of the Royals dominated them last night, 5-0 victory. Yankees remain a half game up on the Orioles, 17 to go. But it's really right now about Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. You know, people talk a lot about the Mets stars slumping, in particular Pete Alonso and Brandon Nimmo. But Judge and Soto, oh boy. Well, the duo last night went 0 for 8 with 4 strikeouts. And Judge is, in his last 14 games, 10 for 51, 11 walks, no home runs. Aaron Judge does not have a home run in 2 weeks. Juan Soto, 11 for 52, in 14 games as well. So if those two aren't going, this whole lineup is going to stink. There's just no way around it. All right, well, now I want to spend a moment talking about not baseball. We're actually going to talk about football right now, and we're going to talk about the New York Football Giants. Wow. So on Sunday, I was getting over an illness. So if you guys watch my videos in the last couple of days, pardon my voice because it was pretty beat up, including my post-game rant Monday night. If you haven't seen that and you like hearing me scream, you might enjoy that 15 minutes of just venom that I kind of let out, especially on the coaching staff of the Jets. But on Sunday, I kind of sat back, figured I should let myself heal up, and I had a free preview for the NFL Red Zone channel, which is fantastic, by the way. Scott Pearson does an amazing job. The production team does an amazing job as well to keep everything going. That producer, fantastic. But I paid a little extra attention to the Giant game. Mostly not because I wanted to, but I just couldn't get over those uniforms. But to think they had a whole off season, the draft, Hard Knocks, celebrating the 100th anniversary of one of the most storied franchises in all of the NFL. Well, in this particular game, they paid tribute to the entire decade of the 1970s. That was a decade where the Giants had 2 winning seasons, no playoff appearances. They were facing a team that just about everyone picked to finish last in their division. Well, the defense did practically nothing outside of Dexter Lawrence. Kayvon Thibodeau did nothing. Brian Burns did very, very little. The offense was absolutely non-existent. Giant fans were longing for the days of Ben McAdoo. You know, the Vikings kept generating pressure with 4 pass rushers. And, you know, when you have steady pressure on the quarterback, wide receivers can't get open. You know, Neighbors, Robinson, Hyatt, they weren't going to get open. Not with that little time. And the quarterback, even when he has time, he makes dumb decisions anyway. Throws the ball in terrible spots. Maybe not as bad as Bryce Young or Zach Wilson, but not far off as Daniel Jones. And that pick six, one of the most obvious telegraph pick sixes you've ever seen. You've got 3 receivers in front of Wan'Dale Robinson, who's back a couple of yards. It's the biggest giveaway of a wide receiver screen call I've ever seen. They may as well shout it at the Vikings. They may as well say to Brian Flores, here's what we're going to do. Try to stop it. And Andrew Van Ginkel, aren't we glad he's out of Miami? picks it off, takes it to the house. Sam Darnold, major credit to him. 19 of 24, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns. But of course, those jerseys, the New York Canadiens jerseys. Did you see these things? Absolute carbon copies of the Montreal Canadiens. I mean, the next free agent the Giants may sign is Patrick Waugh. How about Saku Koivu, Brian Skrudland, Doug Gilmore? Where are they? At least they can play center. Does anybody know the French translation of irrelevant season? Because that's where it's heading for the Giants if they don't beat Washington this week. I got to grab my water. Be right back. I've had to hit the mute button at times. The cough is not totally gone. All right. Well, guys, with that out of the way, let's get into the main event. Guys, we may still be feeling a little bit down, but it's only been 1 week, so I still want to feel your energy. So let's play it. Let me hear you. Well, it is time to talk a little New York Jets football, and I'm going to get into a few things here. But first of all, let's get into the news, because there has been some late breaking news just before we went on the air. So the first thing to mention is that Austin Seibert, who a lot of Jet fans figured would get signed away, was indeed signed by the Washington Commandskins. So he will be kicking against the Giants this Sunday. So all the best to Austin in his future endeavors. I wanted to mention Bryce Huff here. A lot of people were talking about Bryce Huff and, why didn't the Jets keep him? Why didn't the Jets keep him? Why didn't the Jets keep him? And we kept hearing, well, it was for playing time. The Jets constantly rotate their defensive linemen, and one of the drawbacks of that is sometimes these guys are going to want to get a little bit more playing time. You can't blame them for that. I have no ill will towards that, but at the end of the day, against Green Bay this past Friday in Brazil, Bryce Huff finished 4th in snaps by defensive ends on the Eagles. So really, in terms of playing time, not getting much more in week 1 than he did when he was a Jet. Very, very interesting. But the breaking news that we do have is that Connor McGovern is back with the New York Jets. There we go. So Connor McGovern, in the last 20 minutes, was signed to the practice squad by the New York Jets, giving them a little bit more depth on that interior offensive line. They let Xavier Valladay, the running back, go. And so now McGovern, who was the team's starting center for, I think it was 4 seasons, now back with the green and white. The one concern with this, you have to wonder if Wes Schweitzer, who's on injured reserve, is now going to be out for an extended period of time. We already expected it that it was going to be, since IR, it's going to be 4 weeks. With McGovern in the fold, maybe it may be longer. Maybe he may just be elevated for the next couple of games. That is certainly possible as well. So welcome back, number 60. And a few other notes. Both Reed and Carter, DJ Reed and Michael Carter II, are good to go. They were limited in practice, but they'll be good to go for Sunday. And Javon Kinlaw, congratulations to him. His wife had a kid, so he was not in practice today, but he will be back for Sunday. And we'll get to that. All right, we'll get back to that in a moment. We'll recap the game in a moment. All right, well, we're going to kind of do this right now. We're going to talk about a few things. We're going to get into the snap count. So this is something that we do every week after a game. We also talk about DVOA rankings, just figure out where the Jets rank in the overall scheme of the league, offense, defense, special teams. But after week 1, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait till week 2 to get that started. So let's look at the snap counts, how many snaps each player played, and see what we can take from that. So if we look at offense, now we know, first of all, the defense played a ton more snaps. Aaron Rodgers played 38 and Tyrod Taylor played 13. Pretty amazing that Aaron Rodgers only played 75% of the snaps in this game, and Taylor came on in late in the game as he did. The running back situation is interesting. So 42 snaps for Breece Hall, just 9 for Braylon Allen. I did not like that. I want to see Nathaniel Hackett utilize Allen earlier on in the game. when you have a 3rd and 1, yeah, it might be kind of a giveaway that Allen might get the ball, but you know what? He's young, he's big, he's powerful, he's strong. Make them stop it. Make them stop it. Isaiah Davis did not get a look. Izzy Abanikanda was not active for this game, and also there were no 2 running back formations used at all in this game. So Allen Davis never used in a blocking scenario at all. So every down was a 1 running back situation. Tight end, Tyler Conklin played nearly the whole game, 46 snaps. Jeremy Ruckert, 17, just a third of the snaps. Anthony Ferkser, who was called up from the practice squad, played the 1. And it was just another game where tight ends were barely targeted, and I was very disappointed with that. I figured with Aaron Rodgers, he would be targeting those tight ends a little bit more than he did, but you get a feeling early on he really doesn't trust many people in this offense besides Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. That has got to change, and it's got to change quickly. I was hoping Ruckert would be used a little bit more in pass patterns, but I didn't really see a whole heck of a lot of that in game 1. Now, at wide receiver, Allen Lazard played all 51 snaps. Allen Lazard is just one frustrating pain in the neck. He will make you want to kill him one moment, and then you'll love him another moment. But ultimately, you can only expect so much from him. Played all 51 snaps, had 2 touchdowns, credit to him. But he cannot be your number 2 wide receiver. He just cannot be. Garrett Wilson played 49 snaps. Xavier Gibson played 30, so definitely had the majority of the snaps when they brought in the 3rd receiver. Mike Williams and Malachi Corley. I didn't expect a lot from them early on, but this was substantially less than what I thought. Mike Williams, 9 snaps, no targets. Malachi Corley, just 1 snap. That cannot continue. It absolutely cannot continue, because if these teams are just going to keep game planning to take Garrett Wilson away, somebody else has to play a role in the passing game. And I'm sure Williams will get better and better as the year goes on. Corley will get more and more comfortable. But boy, oh boy, 10 snaps between them. I did not expect it to be that low. Plus no targets. Not good. Offensive line, no drama there. This is what we like. 51 snaps for all 5 starters. All right, now we go on to the defense. Now, this is going to get a little bit crazy here. 72 snaps, so 21 snaps more than the offense had. And leading the team was Jermaine Johnson with 50 snaps, although you wouldn't have known it because Trent Williams basically ate him and his lunch all night long. JJ is a very good player. I'm not going to kill him over this one game against possibly the best left tackle in all of football, but I expect a whole lot more from JJ going forward. Quinn Williams played 48 snaps, so he was on the field exactly 2/3 of the time. Javon Kinlaw, not far behind with 41. Solomon Thomas with 38. So the Jets were really rotating those defensive tackles. And you even saw several times, or those 3 DTs, Quinn Williams even lined up on the outside. In fact, the one real pressure that he did have on the first drive of the game that forced a 3 and out, he was lined up on the outside and got pressure on Brock Purdy, and that was the one time in the game that the 49ers did not score when they had the football. The one time was the first drive during the game. Then after that, you have Will McDonald with 35 snaps. Who would have known? Michael Clemens with 31, who had 1 sack in garbage time, but none of us were very excited. I mean, the way that he was thrown around by Dominique Pooney in the run game by a 3rd-round rookie was just jarring. I've yelled about a lot of this already on my post-game wrap-up. I don't want to yell all over again. I quite frankly don't have the voice today. Takk McKinley, 23 snaps. Jalen Holmes with 16. Braden McGregor with 8. Ugh, gosh, it was very frustrating. And the fact that Leonard Taylor was not activated for this game was very disappointing. I wanted Taylor I felt Taylor should have played. Why even call up Jalen Holmes? I just didn't understand the logic of it. Linebacker, Quincy Williams played the whole game with 72 snaps. CJ Mosley was 63. And the 9 snaps where he didn't play, it wasn't good. More on that later. Jamian Sherwood had 32 snaps. Chaz Surratt had just 1, and that was it. And that was when Mosley was not in the game. Quarterback DJ Reed played the full game, 72 snaps. Sauce Gardner, we all know the big hullabaloo made over why didn't he play that one stretch? And was he tired? Was he winded? Did he do something wrong? Was the coach upset with him? Nobody really knows. It was the missing Sauce conundrum, but he missed the same 9 snaps that CJ Mosley did. 9 snaps as well. Michael Carter II got banged up rather early in this game, played only 19 snaps. So that made quite the difference. Jets played most of this game with 3 linebackers, something they don't do quite as much, and it still didn't work to stop the 49ers running attack. Brandon Eccles, 9 snaps, played the 9 when Sauce was out. Quantez Stickers got 1 snap, so congrats to him on getting 1 snap. And at safety, Chuck Clark and Tony Adams both had 72 snaps. Ashton Davis, 21, and it was not pretty as he gave up the long bomb to Kyle Juszczyk for 34 yards. Isaiah Oliver played 3. So the Jets did not really go quite as deep with their defense as they might normally do outside of the defensive line. All right, so let's get the snap counts out of there and pull this back up a little bit. So to talk about this, and I'm going to basically referring to Tony Alexio's post making Jordan Mason Rookie of the Week. Here's the thing, guys. First of all, I don't want to hear about the starters not playing in the preseason. A lot of people were making the excuse that, well, the reason that the Jets look so sloppy is they didn't play anybody in the preseason, any of these 3 preseason games. Hey, you know another team that didn't play any of their starters in the preseason? Philadelphia. How did they do against Green Bay on Friday? Pretty well. And hey, what about this ramped up preseason that the players couldn't stop talking about? That they couldn't stop praising over the last couple of weeks. Talk about how many more reps they did. We talked about it here, about how the starters basically played 25% more snaps, during the joint practices than what they've done before. So to me, that's not a valid excuse. But there is no excuse for the team coming out as flat as they did collectively. For this defense to allow 8 consecutive scoring drives, first time the Jets have done that in 45 years, is just jarring. Absolutely jarring. Didn't take the ball away, had 3 sacks, but the first 2 were by defensive backs. Okay. The Niners knew what they wanted to do to us, and they did whatever they wanted. They controlled the ball with the running attack, even without Christian McCaffrey, and the Jets only had the ball a little over 21 minutes in this game. The Niners knew it, what they wanted to do. They did it. That's coaching. And Mason, here's the thing with the run defense that's so frustrating. He had 147 yards, but 94 of them came before contact. 94 of them. That means the offensive line manhandled our defensive line. Manhandled them. That 34-yard pass to Juszczyk we talked about, Purdy had 3.53 seconds to throw the ball. And on the line at that time, you had Bray McGregor, Jalen Holmes, and Michael Clemens. That's what you would expect to see in the final preseason game in the fourth quarter. Man, losing JFM hurts. Losing Bryce Huff hurts, although it shouldn't have hurt as much as it did since Reddick's not reporting. And Quentin Jefferson was pretty good too, but most of his sacks came in the first week. He had like 2.5 sacks against Buffalo, had maybe 3.5 the rest of the way. But man, for these other guys to come on and basically do nothing, McKinley included as well. McKinley, man, how much love are we giving Takk McKinley? The way we were talking about him, he was the next Bruce Smith. Not so much in this game. Man, but all right, I'm gonna say this. Kinlaw is not a JD bust. He's a San Francisco bust. First of all, it's one game. It's a free agent signing. Okay. You can't spend $10, $15 million per player at every position. They're already giving a ton of money to Quinnen Williams. Their idea is they're going to find rotational guys to plug into those spots for 1 year to 2 years, keep rotating them out, and do the same thing with edge rusher. But they're going to invest in that more. The defensive tackles, they want more of a veteran presence. So JD has had a lot of hits. Has he had a lot of misses? Yes, but one general manager hasn't had a lot of misses. Name the best general manager you can. Ozzie Newsome, for instance, we could talk about it. John Lynch, same franchise that drafted Trey Lance. So we gotta be fair with that. I'm most angry at Joe Douglas for not having the Reddick situation figured out ahead of time. Because I'm as big a JD defender as you'll find, along with, say, like Nick Shine and maybe the Douglas children. I'm right up there. I'll call him out when he needs to be called out. But again, not having Lucky Fotu, that hurt, even though Rich Cimini doesn't want to hear it. He basically said, don't talk to me about Fotu. Well, they signed him to replace Al Woods, and he's on IR right now. But if there's another thing that I'm bothered by, I wonder if when the Jets traded John Franklin Myers, they had to have an idea of how they would replace him. They wanted to replace him, save some money. Fine. You do that. That's fine if you have the right guy to take that spot. And who is the guy they would have had to take that spot? The only guy I can conclude is Michael Clemens. And we are seeing more and more and more that he is nothing more than washboard abs and a deep bass voice. Nothing else. Because for all his bravado, for all his deep stares and all of that, it doesn't function. It doesn't translate to the football field. Now, again, I'm trying to keep one game in perspective. But nobody expected the defense to come out and play the way that they did. Nobody did. Maybe it's that Kyle Shanahan and San Francisco is just that good that they know what they're doing. But you know what? The Jets, I'm not saying Hassan Reddick would have fixed the Jets' run woes. Probably wouldn't have. But definitely would have gotten a lot more pressure than Jalen Holmes and Braden McGregor and Michael Clemens would have. I'm very confident in saying that. Let's say a couple of quick lows. Wild Wave says we coach scared. I don't know. We coach scared. I mean, on the defense. I mean, the defense pretty much is the defense. They don't run a whole lot of plays. You just got to go out there and execute them. Because this coaching staff does not believe in giving their players too many things to do, too many things to memorize. They want them to go out there and not overthink things. They want them to react, be violent, play without any hesitation. That's what they want. But Frisco I said for it. They outcoached us. They outclassed us. They out-executed us. It was all about coaching, this game was. Hey, David D., good to see you as well. Glad you're here. You guys, please hit the thumbs up button if you haven't already. We have 15 likes. We'll spin the wheel a little bit later. Why was LT123 inactive over the smaller McGregor? I didn't understand it either. I felt Taylor should have been activated. I felt you needed the fourth real defensive tackle, especially when two of your other ones are Kinlaw and Thomas. But yeah, I was really hoping to get a little bit more from Kinlaw, and I didn't see it. I'm not so much worried about size. I just felt about position. It would have made more sense. Because, if you want to call a Palms and deactivate McGregor, I guess I could have dealt with it. I wouldn't have loved it. But I wanted Taylor on the field. I wanted that explosiveness there. Would it have affected the outcome of the game? I'm sure it wouldn't have. But, yeah, I don't understand playing McGregor over Holmes. It'll be interesting to see what we get this Sunday in Tennessee, if the inactives change at all. Now, as far as the offense goes, like we said, was Mike Williams ever on the field? He played 9 snaps. I think I noticed him maybe one time, maybe once. Maybe he was eating another breakfast sandwich that MYJ Matt sent him. I don't know. But it felt like the same offense as last year. Alan Lazard, the number 2 receiver. Breece Hall trying to running right into a line, basically having no place to go. The tight ends invisible all over again. Garrett Wilson doing everything he could, finding ways somehow to get open. I know obviously you have a tremendous upgrade in quarterback. God bless Aaron Rodgers. That one touchdown drive that he had, that first one, the way he led the team down the field, the way he was moving protections around, moving receivers, it was like a master carpenter just working on a creation. Things that Zach Wilson, Tim Boyle, Josh McCown, even Chris Streveler, whoever else you want to name, would never know how to do. Even a lot of good quarterbacks wouldn't have known how to do these things. it may have just been the buzzsaw. That's what I'm hanging my hat on. That it was just the worst possible matchup for the Jets. Like the Florida Panthers were for the New York Rangers in the playoffs this past year. I don't know. But right now, my problem is Rodgers seems to only trust Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. That has to change. In the next few weeks, he has to have another receiver he can rely on. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's a running back, a wide receiver, a tight end, someone. But the team did not look ready. Breece Hall said it as well, said it after the game. They played harder than we did. They played harder than us. That there is no excuse for. I can deal with a coaching staff when the talent is not as high as the other team. You know, the Niners have been together for 6 years or whatever it is. They know who they are. They know what they do. Talk about the Patriot way. They got the Niner way right now. Okay? It's just that they haven't won a Super Bowl, so they don't get quite as much of the respect as they deserve. But there is no lack. There's no excuse for not giving as much effort as possible. You know, Robert Saleh's seat at this point is getting as hot as the equator. I would never expect him to get fired in the middle of the season. The Jets are not going to be bad enough where that's going to be a thing. But if they don't have a winning record, they're going to have to clean house. And as big a fan of Joe Douglas as I am, you know, you will not be able, as much as he's done right, you know, he did hire Robert Saleh. Is he going to get another shot at hiring another coach? It's hard to see. I don't think they would. You know, he's going into his last year without a contract. There's a reason for it. Tony Adams was the only bright spot on a bad defense. If I had to really dig, Quincy Williams and Sauce Gardner, I thought had a couple of good pass breakups early in the game. Yeah, but I mean, when it came to the running game, it was just so bad that it's hard to remember anything good that happened. The great Harlan Abraham, howdy to you as well, my friend. I'm glad you're here. Got a nice little turnout here right now. All right, guys. I don't know about you, but I feel the need to turn the page. So let's move on. You know, it's 6. We spent a good amount of time sort of like, reminiscing in misery or whatever the word would be. But I want to turn the page, and of course I had to put this picture up because look at that mascot right there. Basically, we're facing, what is that, a fox, a raccoon, a squirrel? What are we facing next week? Oh, my gosh. I can see that tail of beaver. I don't know. Beaver, fox, squirrel, possum, raccoon. I don't know what that is. But this is what we're facing. The Tennessee Titans in Nissan Stadium on Sunday. So, of course, I'm going to give my game preview a little bit later on in the week. Probably drop that on Friday. But just a couple of early notes about this Tennessee team. Now, of course, they gave this game away to the Chicago Bears this past Sunday. I felt early on Will Levis and Brian Callahan was a bad football marriage because Levis has sort of a Brett Favre mentality. He likes to be very aggressive. He likes to throw hard. He likes taking chances. Brian Callahan prefers sort of that Kyle Shanahan style with timing, precision. That's not what Levis does very well. I think you're looking at a quarterback coach marriage that is not going to last beyond 2-3 years at the most. And the thing right now with Levis, with what I've noticed, do you guys remember when Sam Darnold was here early on with the Jets and he started to get those happy feet where his feet would kind of bounce up and down in the pocket? It started like week 2, week 3 of his career with the Jets because the offensive line was just so inept that he was expecting to basically get his doors blown off every time he dropped back. It was there for more than about 2 seconds. Well, Will Levis has the same happy feet issue. Now, he finished 19 for 32 passing with 127 yards and a touchdown, but he also threw 2 interceptions against the Bears. So this is a game to me where the Jets have to focus on getting that rush on Levis no matter what it takes. They have got to beat on this Tennessee offensive line. Now, this line has J.C. Latham at left tackle, Peter Skoronski at left guard. You got a rookie and a second-year player, respectively. Those two could not handle the Bears' defensive line. And outside of Montez Sweat, who's the real pass rush threat on the Bears? There really isn't one. Okay? And last I saw on that Bears line, I didn't see Richard Dan Hampton, Steve McMichael, and the like on there. No, Lloyd Cushenberry's there at center, came over. in free agency, so you do have a veteran center. But this is an offensive line the Jets have to beat. If they don't beat this Tennessee offensive line consistently, I'm going to be really worried. And I can assure you, Hassan Reddick's asking price just would go up another $5 million. And at running back, you've got Tyjae Spears and Tony Pollard sort of tag teaming right now. Right now, I don't know. What confidence do we have the Jets are going to stop any running game? Because you know Tennessee's going to try to run the ball as much as they can. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't any team try to run on the Jets? Everybody saw that game against San Francisco. That's what they should try to do. And on the one comment from Wild Wave, I can't do another rebuild. I don't want to trade Sauce or Garrett. They're not going to do that unless you get like a holdout situation. I can't imagine that's going to happen. They're going to get paid. They're going to get paid. They might trade one of these guys, like a Brees or a JJ, somebody, AVT, somebody like that, because ultimately you can't pay everybody. But they would be able to get a haul back. But hey, there's always ways to work things under the cap. There's always ways. Swig of water for the working man and woman. All right. Now with the Tennessee defense, I would be a little more worried about them, especially at the defensive tackle position. Jeffrey Simmons, already one of the best defensive tackles in the league, and they drafted T'Vondre Sweat. This was a player a lot of us thought could go in the first round. We did a lot of mock drafts. We had Sweat going sometimes in the 20s. They got him, I believe, in the third round. There was a couple legal questions with him. Well, he looked scary last week. 6'4", 360 pounds. Chicago could not block him. The Jets have got to contain that interior pressure on the offensive line. This is not a day where you want to see Breece Hall running up the middle. This may not be the best day for Braylon Allen, to be running up the middle. It's going to be runs outside more than anything. And then you got, the Harold Landrys of the world. He can rush the passer from the linebacker position. And they got two cornerbacks who came over from other teams, including L'Jarius Sneed came over from the Chiefs. So you do have a pretty capable defense here. But you know what? No matter what the defense is, I got confidence Aaron Rodgers will know what to do to move the ball down the field, even if Nathaniel Hackett is the offensive coordinator. It's like Hackett might put the personnel on the field, but Rodgers knows what to do with them. Hopefully they figured out that Braylon Allen can run a little bit before the fourth quarter. I would like to see that. So yeah, that's just a couple of notes on Tennessee, and the more we get it, we'll get more into that as everything goes on. Tony Alexio, here you go. I just had to give you the Streveler jersey just one more time for anybody who joined late. So I just thought I'd do that one for you. And he asked the question, is there still a good coach available who makes game adjustments? You know what? If you're working well enough, you shouldn't need to make too many adjustments because your personnel is that good. You might call different plays, might do different things like that, but you know what? If it works, it works. Last year it worked great, didn't it? Jets had one of the best defenses in football. There's no way around that. So, I'm certainly not about to believe that this entire team suddenly forgot how to play overnight, but there's no doubt the defensive line is a good deal weaker than it was last year. And again, that 33% of the time when Quinnen's not in the game, not good. It's not good. That's another reason why I want Leonard Taylor active, because let's at least see what he is. We know what Thomas is. We got an idea what Kinlaw is. Is Mike Vrabel still available? Yeah, of course Mike Vrabel's available. I mean, right now he's a personal consultant for the Cleveland Browns. So he is currently consulting. I'm willing to bet he could be hired. But again, that's not going to happen during the season. It's going to be in the offseason, if anything. Salah's going to get the whole year. Unless everything just goes so far off the wheel. The Jets would have to be like 3-9, 3-10 for Robert Saleh to get fired. And even then, what is it really accomplishing? To fire a coach mid-season. It's just giving the fans their pound of flesh. And believe me, I am as down on Saleh as I've been in a while. I really am. But again, it is one game. The great Johnny Jimenez. I've heard of him. Smash that like button. That's exactly right. Check him out at Jets Worldwide. Good to see you, man. All right. So the next thing we're going to do, another thing that we started doing is talking about what's going on around the AFC East. So I try to just talk a little bit about how that team did this past week, just a few notes, things that are going on with them. And at that point, we'll do a little bit of trivia. All right. And of course, you guys have any comments, you have any questions, any thoughts, put them right down there. Why are players on defense given the Titans bulletin board material by trashing Levis idiotic? Well, let's pull up the exact quote, why don't we? All right, so here's what JJ said about Will Levis, who has not proven he is going to be any good. He's a talented athlete and can throw the ball pretty well, but just watching film and just understanding some things about him, especially when he comes out, he's one of those guys that when things aren't going his way, he kind of can panic a little bit early. And Monday night, he apologized as well, saying he did not do a good enough job setting the edge. Very true. So the only thing he really said is that Levis can tend to panic. He's not wrong. He's not wrong, but here's the thing. You can acknowledge that another player doesn't have everything going on, that he has weaknesses. Don't get into specifics of them. You know? That's what I would say. Dana, thanks. I need a third pair of pants. First McGovern, now I realize it's time for Y2K99. I'm on my third pair right now. I'm going to the gym after this. Yeah, which I'm doing every week after the show. So that's why the shows may not be going until 8:30, 9 o'clock. Yeah, well, I just compliment him and move on, and that's what he complimented him. He did not move on quickly enough, however. But again, Levis has a lot to prove. And you know what? That receiver trio, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, DeAndre Hopkins, pretty dangerous. But Hopkins, coming back from a knee injury, was only targeted once last week against the Bears. Let me point that out as well. So Hopkins still working his way back, and then you've got Boyd, who's a new receiver over there, and I believe Ridley is as well. So this is a whole new offense right now with a new head coach. It's going to take time for them to find themselves. I'm glad the Jets have Tennessee very early in the season from an offensive perspective. The defense is going to have to really, really own it. Shut down the Jets' run game if they're going to do that. And on the other side, the Jets' pass rush has to get to Levis. So those are the two things that I'm seeing right now. Now, as far as the Bills go, this was just a meltdown by the Arizona Cardinals. Just an absolute meltdown. Even when Arizona was up, you kind of knew it was only a matter of time before Josh Allen would get going against that defense. 9 different players caught a pass. He was spreading it around like, we won't go there. But he was spreading it around. The Bills had 14 plays of 10 yards or more. So Arizona was really giving up the explosive play. So is that more on their defense? Is that more on Josh Allen? Who knows? Greg Rousseau, though, had a big game. 3 sacks and 6 pressures. Buffalo really wanted him to take a big step forward this season. I always thought he was a pretty good defensive end, but apparently he was not on the level that they wanted him to be, sort of like maybe Will McDonald a little bit, except Russo is a little bit older. But he really had a great game against Arizona. Be interesting to see if he does that on Thursday. And then their slot corner, Teron Johnson, left with a forearm injury, and he may not play this Thursday night against Miami. So that's an injury note to watch over there. All right. And then as far as Miami goes, of course, they host Buffalo Thursday night. I may have to go out for that game since I don't have Prime. That's not a game I want to miss. But they could not run against Jacksonville. If I told you against Jacksonville, who Miami's leading rusher was and how many yards he had, we'd be here for a little while. Their leading rusher was not Tua, was not Raheem Mostert, was not Devon Achane, was not Jalen Wright. It was Jeff Wilson Jr. with 26 lovely yards. That was it. They averaged 3.2 yards per run, including with Tua. All right. So the run game, especially after losing Robert Hunt, Connor Williams, really, really struggled. Okay. This was a terrible performance. Last year, the Dolphins had the 6th most rushing yards per game. So they lost 2 starters on the IOL from last year. And Sunday, can't have much more confidence if you're a Fins fan. So of the Miami's 400 yards, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle made 211 of them. And again, watching that game on Red Zone, if ETN, when they're up, I think 14 points, does not fumble at the 1 yard line, which immediately led to the Tyreek Hill 80-yard touchdown. There's no way Miami wins that game. And then after that, they were basically done. Jacksonville never got past their own 48-yard line the rest of the game. That one turnover killed Jacksonville and gave Miami a win that, quite frankly, they did not deserve. By the way, I'll give you my early pick on that. Give me the Bills in that game. Buffalo has won 4 straight against Miami, 12-13. I know the game's in Miami. It'll be a little hot, but it'll be a night game. I'm taking Buffalo to win that game straight up. And, Buffalo, there's Miami. Yeah, never mind. And then as far as New England goes, you talk about stealing a win away. Wow. I got to give Jerod Mayo credit. He had his team ready to go. Nothing but credit for them. New England is a very limited team with what they can do. It's just what they do pretty well. They got to run the ball. They're not going to throw it. Their longest completion to receiver was 17 yards to Tyquan Thornton. And who's that guy? Kyron White, I believe his name is, who basically took over Judon's spot. So this guy, this edge rusher, he had 2.5 sacks. He's getting a much more elevated role. So that might be their Keon White. That might be the edge rusher, the player on defense you have to pay the most attention to in just over a week when the Jets host New England opening night. But I think Cincinnati gave a lot away. Their run defense was absolutely anemic. At one point, Ramondre Stevenson had, according to Next Gen Stats, 24 rushing yards over expectations, meaning what he had, he got that much more off because the Cincinnati defense absolutely failed. And that Mike Gesicki touchdown, it should have been a touchdown. At the end of the day, it was a field goal, but that should have been a touchdown in my mind. The referee said the ball moved a little bit too much. Hey, they call what they were going to call. So, but yeah, we know the deal. The entire AFC East is 3-0. Jets are 0-1. I'm not panicking about it yet because at the end of this week, at least one other team will have a loss and very possibly 2 as New England they take on Seattle. Going to be a pretty interesting game. I didn't love what I saw from Seattle against Denver. I thought they let the Broncos hang around way too long. I thought there was a lot of sloppy play, missed blocks, passes a little bit off the mark. I don't know about that. I know it was first game under a head coach, but Denver was in that game until the final minute or so of the game, and I don't think that's a very good sign. So even though I'll probably pick Seattle to win it, it is a very, very shaky pick, and I could change my mind in the next 24 hours. Stephen T. This team needs to adapt mid-game as a bug tries to fly on my tablet because the light was on, but couldn't quite get him. This team needs to adapt mid-game starting now and not midweek. Yeah, during the game. Yeah, can't argue with that. And that goes for the offense as well. Yeah, I hope Aaron Rodgers would go up to Nathaniel Hackett and say, hey, Nathan, shove it up you know where. This is what's working. What you're doing sucks. This is what should be going on. Because some drives worked. Aaron Rodgers is still good enough to overcome the idiocy of Nathaniel Hackett. But in terms of the usage, when you're playing Corley and Williams a combined 10 snaps and Xavier Gibson's getting 30, when you have one running back on the field the entire game, never go to 2 running backs, I have issues with this. And as far as the offensive line goes, I want to mention this too. I was quite surprised that the pass blocking was so much better than the run blocking. Rodgers had a good amount of time to throw for most of the night. That's that is a very encouraging sign. People talk, well, it's encouraging Rodgers got through the game healthy. Come on. Let's go for better than that. I don't want to talk about surviving. I want to talk about thriving. But the run blocking was stunning to me because the run blocking during the offseason against the Giants, the Panthers, and the Commanders, they were opening up holes right and left. They really were. So against the Tennessee defensive front with Sweat and Simmons, it's going to be another challenge for them. So let's see him run, off tackle a little bit. Let's not see him run up the middle of the field. So that's kind of where my thoughts are. All right, guys. Well, I'll tell you what. It is right now 10 minutes to 7. Got a nice little turnout here so far. Yeah, we're definitely in double digits, so I definitely appreciate that. But if you guys want to do the wheel, you just got a few minutes to get that done. You got to hit that thumbs up button because we got a rule, 15 likes. And right now we're at 11, but we need more than that. But guys, you know what we are going to do every week. Every single week, you know what happens. I bust open the books. I go through the websites. I pull out the old Encyclopedia Britannica. And I go into all this research. And I challenge you, the most loyal fans of the most loyal fan base in all of the NFL, just how much do you know about your New York Jets? So if you are ready, let us play Jets Trivia. All right, guys, it most definitely is trivia time. Johnny Boy says we just need to stop the other team's kicker, and we are Gucci. Kickers were killing it this week. 50-yard field goals like they were 30-yard field goals. Unbelievable. There we go. Hank G saying it's trivia time. There we go. Yeah, last week Dane pretty much dominated the questions, so we know the deal this week. It's going to be a Jets-Titans question. So here we go. You have 5 minutes to get it correct and start putting your answers in the chat. The question tonight goes like this. Name the only 2 quarterbacks to play for both the Jets and the Titans. Only 2 quarterbacks have played for both franchises. And just for the record, I'm not talking about the Houston Oilers here. David, he heading out to Whopper Wednesday. Yeah, I went to Taco Bamba today, which is a big taco place in Northern Virginia. But we got down there, one in Raleigh-Durham. I had one with fried catfish on it. I had their Taco Bamba taco, which has steak, chorizo, grilled guacamole, a couple other things on it. In fact, I got some extra guacamole that I took home. Great stuff. All right. Shoot. Got to remove this for 1 second. Just one moment. Okay, we can add it back on. Okay. All right. Hank G says Joe Flacco. No, it was not Joe Flacco. Vince Young says Dane was not here. Johnny Boy says Quincy Carter. A good answer is always Quincy Carter, isn't he? Yeah. Is Quincy Carter correct? Not in this case. I can't do the buzzer. I'll kill the music, so I'll let it go. Harlan Abraham says Brooks Bollinger. No, not Brooks Bollinger. David D. Clearly one of them is Lee Cravat. Of course it is. Okay, Tony Alexio goes with Neil O'Donnell. No, Neil O'Donnell did not play for the Titans. Yeah, O'Donnell. Oh, you know. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, no, he did. He did. I'm sorry. You know what? There was actually. Yep, that's right. That's right. Oh, yep, he was one. My bad. All right. So, Tony Alexio's got that one right. Okay, so that's one. There is one more. Christian Hackenberg would not count. He never actually threw a pass with the Jets or anywhere else outside of the minor leagues. Johnny Boy says Tim Tebow. No, it was not Tim Tebow. David D says Kellen Clemens. That's a good guess. Kellen Clemens. You know, it's weird. I got this weird feeling that it's weird. I could picture him in a Titans uniform, but no, he played with the Rams and the Chargers along with the Jets. But so similar color scheme. So that's probably why I was thinking that. I was second guessing that one. You got about 1 minute 30 seconds left to go, guys. Harlan is the same high school as Adam Gase. You know, Adam Gase is actually now a contributor to the 33rd team. Can you believe that? Belichick and Gase are writing for the 33rd team. It's a good website, but they hired Gase. Who the hell said no? God dang. Hank G says Ryan Fitzpatrick. He played for every team, didn't he? Is it Ryan Fitzpatrick? It sure was. Ryan Fitzpatrick is correct. Yep, it was Ryan Fitzpatrick and Neil O'Donnell. Those were the two quarterbacks to play for both the Jets and the Titans. So, chat, you guys got it with less than a minute left. So, good job. You are now 2-0. I'm going to have to turn the heat up a little bit for week 3 against the Patriots. All right, so a little bit of teamwork. You got to love it. All right. So, yep, just a quick reminder of what's coming up. We'll be doing the predicting every game. We'll be doing the confidence picks. That'll be dropping Thursday night, probably about 7, 8 o'clock, somewhere in that area. The game preview, I will have that up Friday. Bold predictions, probably Friday or Saturday. And, of course, Sunday night, the 3 key plays you may not remember that affected the outcome of the game. Let's see how angry I am after that one. Right? But, yeah, my voice will definitely be better. And I appreciate everybody coming by here. Just to see if anybody has any other thoughts or questions here. All right. Yeah, looks like we're pretty good. So yeah, be sure to check out all the other content creators. Proud New York Jets fan, Buffalo Jets fan, all the other ones that you know very well. Jets Worldwide, Boy Green, all the good guys who, a lot of us, we really try to take our time and research what we're doing. It's easy to just throw out a video, but I just hope everybody appreciates that. I hope it comes out that when we do research and really look at these things, we try to give like a little bit of a different perspective, give you something that you may not have already known because it was something we didn't already know either. Try to make it informative and try to make it fun. And as long as I'm doing those two things, I'd like to think that I'm doing this pretty dang well. Dano, who had that penalty on 3rd and 8 that gave them an automatic first down? You're really going to make me go back into the play-by-play of this shit? All right, I'll do it for you. I'll look it up real quick. I just happen to have the link down here, ironically. See, the Jets didn't have a lot of penalty. The Jets went almost the entire first half without a penalty. That was the amazing thing. Who had the penalty on 3rd and 8 that gave him a first down? McGregor had a holding on first down. Oh, JJ, illegal use of hands. Yeah, but, the game was already 26. It was already 23-7 anyway. The game was already done. Let's be honest. So, yeah, so that was JJ. And I got to be honest, guys, I'd pretty much tuned out by that point. Midway through the third quarter, it was like, why am I even watching? I had about 9-10 49er fans right behind me at that point. Every time the Niners are making a big play, like, bang, bang, Niner train, bang, bang, Niner train, bang, 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 bang. It was like they're banging all night. 3 hours of banging going on right behind me. Unbelievable. So obnoxious. It almost reminded me of the Dallas game last year. We had 15 female Cowboy fans how do I say this? Well, we had about 15 sisters is what we had. God bless them. But oh my God, could they be? They were so effing obnoxious. They're giving us the whole na 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 hey hey goodbye. Oh my God. And I never saw them the rest of the season. I think they knew not to screw with us again, not to come back to our house. But of all the weeks that they had to show up, it had to be during that game. Same thing with this Niner situation. But what are you going to do? But the good thing is, even though I didn't go to it, there is a pretty cool bar in Cary, North Carolina, where there were a ton of Jet fans. I don't say a ton of Jet fans, but for North Carolina, there are about 15, 20 Jet fans. So that's where I'm going to be this Sunday. I thought for a minute, honestly, about flying to Nashville, but the flight situation, getting back Sunday night, it wouldn't work out. So even though I could get there and I could get a ticket flying back, just not going to happen. So yeah, so I'll be here. Don't know if I'm going to any games this year, but I'm hoping to at some point. Just have to see what happens. But everybody, I'm going to get going because I got to get to the gym. I want to thank everybody for hanging with me tonight. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. So have a little faith, have a little confidence. As much as hard as it is right now, it's still week one. It was a road game. It was an NFC game and a very difficult spot. So guys, better days are ahead. Everybody have a great night, and I'll see you right back here with more content from you know where. That's the Wicker Chair. Have a good night, everybody.